Hi friends, in today's video I'm talking about how I deal with some slow sale weeks and stay motivated. For me, sales aren't always moving fast, but I'll share how I keep things moving and show you what's still selling for me right now. But first, let's pull some of my orders. So the first sale to sell, and these are actually in no order. I probably should have put these in order better, but first thing to sell was this little, whoops, it's backwards, Y2K baby doll dress is the best way to describe it. So it's green, it's got a floral print, and this is the brand No Boundaries. Now this one is a junior size, which I think might have hindered its sales or like made it sell a lot slower. Y2K stuff does sell and perform pretty well, but sometimes they do sit for me. I'm not sure really why it's that, to be honest with you. I think it's the size, and you got to be careful with No Boundaries sometimes. I could have not used enough keywords in it to make it sell. But it did sell actually on Depop. I listed it on November 29th and it sold on April 16th. So that's still not too bad for me. That's within 6 months, and that's when I typically notice all of or most of my inventory sells. Sometimes I'll have those outliers that don't sell within 6 months, and that kind of further piques my interest if I should pick it up. But generally speaking, most of my stuff is selling between 3 months to 6 months. So yeah, I don't want to paint this picture that all my sales are really fast, because they're definitely not. But this sold for $19.60 on Depop. I paid $1.47 and I did profit around $16. So I also apologize, I ran out of my priority mail that I use. Well, I wouldn't use it for this one, but for my Poshmark orders. So I'm just gonna be using poly mailers. There you go. I'm not the best with style-based pickups. I'm trying to get a lot better, but they are just kind of harder for me to pick up sometimes. So I will pick them up sometimes, but not all the time. So I guess the first tip, and if you see me looking over, I apologize, I wrote some notes down just to keep me not distracted, because I can get very distracted with these videos. So the first thing is just focusing on the small wins. So like I said, I have about 10 orders that are going out, and for me, that's really great. You know, lately I have been really slowing down with reselling, just because I have noticed that it's not performing at the level that I need or want it to, which is totally fine. So my philosophy is just kind of accepting that where I'm at in my business, and accepting that there are slow periods with sales. You know, everybody experiences them. I don't believe there's any resellers out there that don't have slow periods. I believe everybody experiences slow sales. So just kind of being kind to yourself and understanding that it's just a small period. It's not the mass majority of your reselling business, and it'll pass, you know. If you're just having slow sales every once in a while, or even fluctuating between week and week, that's honestly normal. So the next thing to sell is this IC by Connie K. This is an extra large. This is a really cute kind of plaid, I don't know, it's like a blouse, but it's like oversized, slouchy. Hopefully you guys can see it well. I'll put up photos of it so you guys can see better pictures of the items. But this actually sold very quickly on Poshmark. So I listed it on March 26th and it sold April 16th. So that's very, very good in my book for me. I did sell, it sold for $32. I paid $5, so I profited around $20. And for me, that's fine. That's kind of what I hope to get for all of my items. That's my indication to tell me that like I can pick it up again, or that it gives me enough profit for my business. But everybody's different. Again, this is just what I do that works for me. So yeah, $20 is fantastic for me. And I did source this at the regular Goodwill. Sorry, coffee break. And didn't take too long. So would I buy this item again? Yes, I would. I guess the next one, and these tips, I'm gonna try to make them like not so drawn out. Sometimes I can be a little bit of a talker with coffee in me, so I will work to get to the point for my tips. So I apologize if I am a little bit of a talker for you guys. I just really like talking to you guys and really just like making it more like relaxed and chilled, just like packaging and like, I don't know, just pretending you're like a coworker and we're just like chit-chatting and talking. So next thing to sell, this is my only Macari sale, and honestly Macari, I'm debating just like honestly getting rid of Macari because Macari has just completely fallen off for me. And to be honest with you, Macari never really gave me a lot of sales to begin with. I started it, I think, the end of last year, and it was okay at the beginning, but then it like completely died out. And I think if I'm lucky, I get maybe one Macari sale a month if I'm lucky. So yeah, we'll revisit that. I'll let you guys know if I decide to get rid of it. But so this one sale that I had was a jumpsuit, and this is from the brand Young, Fabulous, and Broke. This is a size small. So this is just a solid black jumpsuit. It's really cute. It's got a high neck, and it is a linen blend, which I think is why it sold so fast, because it did sell. It was listed on March 17th, and it did sell on April 15th. And sorry, it sold for $31. I paid $1.50 for this item, and I profited around $25. So Young, Fabulous, and Broke is not really a brand that I typically and normally pick up a lot. Most of the time I come across their tie-dye stuff, but because this had some good factors. It was a jumpsuit, so it's a little bit more of a substantial piece. It had a good fabric content, a linen blend, and it's a good neutral color. So black is gonna appeal to a lot of other like people that like neutral color bases and stuff like that. That's also something I consider when I look at a garment. You know, if it's a bright orange garment, it might take a little bit longer just because not everybody is looking for that, you know, color combination. Not that it can't sell, but I think that does, you know, play into some factors. So I guess the next tip I have is just maybe possibly switching it up. So what I mean by this is sometimes if my sales are really slow, I like to look in the hard goods section, or I like to look in the shoe section because I don't always sell shoes. So sometimes I venture out to different categories. I try them out, and that, if you saw my other ship with me, that is something I'm gonna try this summer. So that's something I'm gonna try. Also, trying new thrift stores. So maybe if you frequent the same thrift store, maybe changing your route up, going to a different location, even a different city can be fun. You know, sometimes I have gone to different cities and just found completely different brands that I have never found or never heard of. So that's something that I also take into consideration when my sales are slow, is just trying to change it up. Just anything where you're not staying stagnant and staying in the same, you know, sourcing routine or same schedule. So I like to change it up. That's just for me, or that's just a tip that helps me. So next item to sell, this was on Poshmark, and this, I did pick this up at the bins or bins location. And this is called Gigi Moto, but the reason I looked at it is because it says it's made in Italy. And this is a silk blend blouse. It's really pretty, it's artsy, lag and look, coastal, lots of good keywords for this item. And it did sell on Poshmark, so I don't think I put it on here. I'll put it on the screen, but I did profit $18 and I paid around $1.85. I listed it on January 13th and it sold April 16th. So again, not too long. And I would definitely pick it up again. You know, profit was a little bit under $20, but for me, that's pretty good. And I only paid $1. So that's a super, I really like to look out for made in Italy pieces. I don't always pick them up, but what I noticed is that sometimes they are usually made of better fabrics, or they just have like kind of a boutique vibe to them. So a lot of people like them. So I try to pick them up. And let me know, guys, I would love to know some of your tips and tricks that help you stay motivated. So please let me know in the comments. I love reading your guys' comments. All right, so next sale, this is, I just thrifted this. So if you saw my little thrift with me, you would have seen this. So this is a button down, like green Maeve top, and this is Maeve by Anthropologie. I believe this is called the Bennett shirt. This sold in one day. I paid around $4 at my thrift store for this, and it sold for $25, so I profited around $14. So it's a little less than what I would have liked this to sell for. I was probably wanting around that $30 mark, but honestly, since sales are slow, I'm taking what I can get, and that's kind of my next tip, is just really evaluating when offers come in, really consider, you know, since I do this full time, I would rather get some sales and not lose out on some sales, if that makes sense. So if I make a couple dollars less on an item, but it's sold within one day, I'm not going to beat myself up for it. I'm going to be grateful for the sale and I'm going to kind of move on. So for me as a person, I look at all the sales collectively. I don't just hyper focus on one sale. So if I did that, like, I think a lot of my stuff might not sell as fast. I'm just a little bit more flexible, you know, with the pricing. And again, this is just what works for me. I know everybody's cost of goods is different. I know what everybody likes to sell items is different. So I'm just saying this is what works for me because I am full-time. So I do want to make some sales. So I have a little pile down here that I'm just putting on the ground. So So this next sale also I showed in my little thrift with me. This was such a great find. So I did find this at my local Savers. Yes, Mar. Yes. My local Savers. But I did buy this for myself. I just decided that I was going to resell it instead. I just wasn't a fan of the shoulder bag. But this is, again, this is called the Soho bag. This is a Y2K style. So this was made, I think, in the 2007 era. So this sold on Poshmark. And with wrapping this, I'm kind of going to wrap it a little weird because I don't want the leather to rub on it. So this sold on Poshmark for $60. Again, it sold the same day it was listed, and I profited $48. So honestly, I would really keep an eye on Y2K styles from Coach. They can perform very well, especially if you're, you know, I know a lot of thrift stores, they kind of overprice Coach now. So yeah, like I was saying, Coach can do pretty well, and I am gonna put this in a box. Sorry, excuse me. So I pre-packaged a little box, and I just kind of made sure that the item was well packaged up. And I used 2 pieces of paper for this just because, like I was saying, I want to make sure that the leather doesn't really rub on itself. item. So this was a really cool, I guess it was a cool find when I did find it, but this is a Free People. This is just a really beautiful kimono. It's like kind of, I don't know, like a beach cover up. It's got a wild print to it. Looks like it's got some fruit and like produce, some lemons, tangerines. And unfortunately, I did have to relist this. So basically when I listed this item, I think I overpriced it. So it did sit for a while. So recently I've been going through my inventory and just really updating, I'm updating my inventory numbers and stuff. So I'm double checking items to see what the pricing is and if I need to relist or delist them. So I relisted this item and it sold on the same day. Now I did drop the price. It was listed around like $50 and it was getting really no attention. And when I checked to see what it was really selling for later, a couple months later, it was selling for around anywhere from $20 to $40. So I did lower my price to around, I think $35. Someone came in the same day and offered me $25. I have had this item for a while, so I did go ahead and accept it. You know, for me, that's the point. If I'm relisting something, getting it out of the door and getting it to a new home, that's kind of all I really care about, as long as I'm making a decent profit. I did still profit $18. And I paid a little over $1 because I sourced this at the outlet. So for me, some people may say, oh, you should have waited a little bit, but you know, I got this item out of the door, relisted the same day, and yeah, that's a win to me. So I'm happy with that. So I guess the next tip I do is I just which kind of led me, like what I was just talking about, is taking the time that you have with slower sales and just maybe revising some of your systems. So for me, that's looking at my inventory system, that's relisting or delisting, that's also sourcing smarter and maybe just being more selective when I'm sourcing. Sorry, I'm looking over here, just organizing, listing, focusing on the things that I can control. Because unfortunately, we as resellers cannot control the market. We can't control slow sales, fast sales. We are just kind of, we just have to roll with the punches, I guess, with reselling, because it's kind of like a roller coaster, like I said. So for me, I just focus on the tasks that I can control, which is listing, just being better with sourcing, and not to say that slow sales are a reflection of these items. I'm just saying, when you have extra time, maybe you can fine tune your business with other ways. So that's what I do. That's what I'm currently doing. Like I said, going through my inventory and just trying to be more selective when I am at the thrift store or the bins or Goodwill outlet. I'm just trying to be more mindful. So the next sale, this is a Lulu's dress. This is a size medium, and normally I would not pick this item up, but I did purchase this for myself, so I am like selling it. I unfortunately only wore it for one day thinking I would sell it or wear it again, but it wasn't as comfortable as I wanted it to be. So I listed this around $35 and somebody did send me an offer for $27, so I did go ahead and accept it. So that made my profit of $21. It was listed on November 26th and it sold on April 16th. So Lulu's is a great brand, but I really only focus on their formal dresses and their larger sizes. So if I am paying, you know, I typically only get them at the Goodwill outlet because honestly, they really don't sell that great for me, if I'm being honest with you. So I don't really pick them up at the regular thrift store. I've seen so many at the regular thrift store, even new with tags, I just won't pick them up. For me, they just tend to sit a little bit longer, so I will not pick them up unless it's at the bins or Goodwill outlet. But yeah, I'm still happy with this. I got to wear it. And that's the fun thing about being a reseller, is like You get to keep some of the stuff, you get to wear some of the stuff, and if it's a good brand and good style, you could wear it for a little bit and then just resell it. So I have definitely done that a couple of times. So it's one of the perks of the jobs, I think. So next sale, we're almost done. I think I only have 3 more. This is a fantastic, fantastic style to be on the lookout for, so I definitely want to show you guys this. This is Maeve by Anthropologie, but this is the Colette pant, and these are very, very popular style pants. They are kind of like a trouser. They are like a nice brown tannish color, and I did source these at my local thrift store. So I paid around $4. They were listed on April 10th and sold April 16th. So that just shows you that they are very in demand right now. They were listed for $65. Somebody sent me a $50 offer and I did accept that. So for me, that made me a profit around $35. So that's excellent. You know, if I could pick up things every day that gave me $35 profit, I would. But yeah, be on the lookout. The Colette pants, pretty much they make so many different colors and styles for this pants, and they are just one of their best sellers. So I was even seeing comps all the way up to like $70 for some of these. So they are definitely worth, I would definitely pay up, you know, $5. Probably for me personally, I probably wouldn't pay $10 for them just because I'm a little bit more stingier, but you could definitely get away with probably paying around $10 for them. But yeah, excellent. And honestly, out of all the Anthropologie brands, Maeve performs probably the best for me. So when I see, if it's a newer style and it's like Maeve, I'll generally pick it up. I've noticed it really holds its following still with Anthropologie, because you got to be careful. Sometimes Anthropologie can be so oversaturated, especially the older stuff. I don't pick it up personally because it just sits forever, or I end up having to donate it. So second to last brand, this is my only eBay sale. I had 1 Depop, 1 eBay, and then the rest, and 1 Macari, and then the rest were Poshmark. So this is an April Cornell dress. This is a size small, and this is a beautiful floral, like midi dress. Absolutely gorgeous, lots of keywords, prairie, you can use cottagecore, but April Cornell has a really great following. I have never found anything besides her dresses, and those generally, usually always sell for me. So I did pick this up at the bins. I paid $1.19 for it. I listed it November 27th. So it did sit a little bit because I think I listed it kind of in the winter time, but it sold on, April 16th. It sold for $31 on eBay. That does not include shipping, so they did pay for shipping as well. And I profited around $26. So for me, really great find when I'm paying $1 for it. Yeah. When I find April Cornell dresses, I tend to usually always pick them up. And yeah, they tend to perform pretty well for me. Around the $30 to $40 is generally what I see. I'm sure you could probably, if you found like a cooler print, let me know if you guys have any experience with April Cornell. Does it sell for you? Do you guys find it? I don't really find it that often, but when I do find it, kind of get a little excited because I know she has a pretty decent following for her stuff. Alrighty, last sale. This is an item I used to pick up so much, and now I've just kind of not picked them up. Let me know if you guys have experience with it, if it sells well for you. But these are some Miss Me jeans, and I think the reason it didn't sell that well is because they are not super bedazzled on the back. They're missing a couple gemstones and stuff, but yeah. These are a boot cut, and they're kind of like a medium wash. They're very Y2K style. They took over 6 months to sell because they were listed on the 18th and they sold on the 17th of, well, they were listed August 18th, sorry, and they sold April 17th. So quite a bit of time for these guys. And they only sold for $20. And I paid a little over $1 because I did get them at the Goodwill outlet, but I only profited $14. So for me, because it took so long for these to sell, I probably wouldn't pick them up again. But that's just me personally. They just took too long. I would pick them up if they were super bedazzled, if they had like maybe a bedazzled cross or like a butterfly. I know those can do pretty well still, I think. But let me know if you guys have experience or if it sells well for you. But yeah, those are all of my sales. Those are my tips and tricks I use to stay motivated. And yeah, let me know down below some of your tips, like I was saying, if some of these brands do well for you, if you've noticed any shifts with reselling lately, I would love to know. But thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next one. Okay, bye.